Good afternoon, radio fans. Big Al back again on this Friday, August 29th, 2025, and welcome to another look at radio ratings from select markets from across the country. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Boston, Massachusetts, Seattle-Tacoma, Washington, and Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So for that, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and get notified every time I go live. And again, a big shout out to all of you who has subscribed to my channel and gotten me to 100 subs. Thanks a lot, y'all. Okay, let's jump into this. And looking at the number 10 market, Boston, Massachusetts. Both Odyssey, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, Odyssey and iHeartRadio each have 4 stations. In fact, iHeartRadio has 4 stations in the top 10, while Odyssey has 3. And that's pretty much your overview. The leader in the Boston market for July is iHeartRadio Classic Rock Station 100.7 WZLX, which went up from a 5.1 to a 5.7 and a cumulative audience of 592,200. That's followed by Odyssey's Hot Adult Contemporary Station Mix 104.1 WWBX, which went up a little bit from 5.3 to 5.6 and a cumulative audience of 514,000. Now, when the August numbers are released in a couple weeks, it'll be interesting to see if Mix 104.1 surpasses WZLX in the Boston ratings, or maybe our third place station will. Odyssey Adult Contemporary Station Magic 106.7 WMJX is actually down. They fell from the top spot to number 3, from 5.7 to 5.4, and a cumulative audience of 797,200. Beasley Broadcast Group's Classic Hits Station 105.7 WRRR takes the number 4 spot, rising from 5.1 to 5.3 with a cumulative audience of 671,500. In at number 5 is iHeartRadio's top 40 station, KISS 108 WXKS FM, which holds steady at a 4.9 and a cumulative audience of 692,700. In 6th place is Boston University's NPR news station 90.9 WBUR, which is down from 5.0 to 4.5 with a cumulative audience of 309,700. iHeartRadio's news talk station WBZ News Radio 1030 took a big dive this month, falling from 5.7 to 4.5 and actually tying with WBUR for 6th place. WBZ has a cumulative audience of 304,500. Taking the number 8 spot is Odyssey Sports Station, Sports Radio 93.7 WEEI FM. This is the Boston Red Sox flagship. They also moved down from 4.9 to 4.4 with a cumulative audience of 323,200. Its rival sports station, Beasley Broadcast Group's 98.5 The Sports Hub, WBZ FM, is also down from 4.0 to 3.8 and a cumulative audience of 312,200. This is the flagship station of the Boston Celtics, Boston Bruins, New England Patriots, and the local MLS team in the Boston area, the New England Revolution. So the 2 sports stations ended up 8th and 9th in the Boston market. And then rounding out the top 10 is iHeartRadio's news and conservative talk station, WRKO AM 680, which is also down from 4.0 to 3.7 with a cumulative audience of 121,100. In 11th place outside of the top 10 is WGBH Educational Foundation Flagship and main NPR news station in Boston, 89.7 WGBH FM, which is up from 3.4 to 3.6, with a cumulative audience of 258,300. Coming in at number 12 is Odyssey Adult Hits Station, Big 103 WBGB, down from 3.9 to 3.5, and a cumulative audience of 502,000. 13th and 14th are both occupied by Beasley Broadcast Group. Their rhythmic AC / hip hop station, Hot 96.9 WBQT, is down from 3.9 to 3.4 and takes the number 13 spot with a cumulative audience of 499,600. And right below them is their sister country station, Country 102.5 WKLB FM, down from 3.6 to 3.2. Cumulative audience of 353,500. In 15th place is Northeast Broadcasting's adult album alternative station, 92.5 The River WXRV, which is up from 2.8 to 3.0, and a cumulative audience of 333,100. Next up, iHeartRadio's hip-hop station, Jammin' 94.5 WJMN, rising a point from 1.9 to 2.9, and a cumulative audience of 378,900. But as far as the hip-hop game goes, they are behind Hot 96.9. Taking the number 17 spot is iHeart Country Station 101.7 The Bull WBWL, which is up from 2.1 to 2.5 and a cumulative audience of 302,200. This ties them with WGBH Educational Foundation's classical music station, CRB Classical 99.5, heard on WCRB FM, which holds steady at a 2.5, again in a 17th place tie with The Bull. WCRB has a cumulative audience of 218,900. 19th place is Emerson College's 88.9 WERS, which plays eclectic and adult album alternative. They're up for 1.5 to 1.8 with a cumulative audience of 184,000. Rounding out the top 20 is Cumulus Hot AC 104.5 WXLO, which holds steady at a 1.6 and a cumulative audience of 275,000. And then going below the top 20, you have iHeartRadio's Spanish contemporary station, Rumba 97.7 WZRM, which is down from 1.4 to 1.2 and a cumulative audience of 155,300. And then EMF's 107.3 K-Love WKVB moves up from 0.6 to 1.1, so that's a half point rise and a cumulative audience of 93,900. Then we have Beasley Broadcast Group's business news station, Bloomberg 92.9 WBOS FM, down from 1.0 to 0.8 and a cumulative audience of 108,600. So yeah, 92.9 is struggling mightily with the business news format. Anna and Joey are all in the house. What's up, guys? And thanks again, Joey. Couldn't have made it to 100 without y'all, man. Next up, iHeartRadio's conservative talker, Talk 1200 WXKS AM, which holds steady at 0.5. Cumulative audience of 36,600. Then Beasley Broadcast Group's classic rock station, Rock 92.9 HD2, which is heard on WRCA AM 1330, and on WBOS FM HD2 is down from 0.5 to 0.4 and a cumulative audience of 72,800. So even after moving off of 92.9 on their main channel, the rock format is also struggling mightily in the Boston radio market. Next up, Nueva Network Spanish contemporary station Que Onda Boston, which is WCCM AM. They hold steady at a 0.3 and a cumulative audience of 8,100. That's followed by another K-Love station, 104.9 WNKC, which is up from 0.1 to 0.3. Not sure where this station broadcasts from. They have a cumulative audience of 35,400. Next up is the Americana and folk format of 91.9 WUMB, owned by the University of Massachusetts. They're down from 0.4 to 0.3 with a cumulative audience of 44,400. And then that's followed by the online stream of Magic 106.7, which registered at a 0.2. And then Cumulus Classic Hits Station 100 FM The Pike, which is WWFX. They're stuck at a 0.2 and a cumulative audience of 51,200. Not registering, you have Odyssey's Channel Q. That's the LGBTQ talk, dance, and EDM station. Heard on WBG BHD2. They did not register. They have a cumulative audience of 1,400. And Cumulus Country Station Nash Icon 98.9 WORC FM out of Worcester. They did not register either, and they have a cumulative audience of 4,400. So that's the Boston radio market. Let's move on to market number 11, the Seattle-Tacoma market. And still dominating in the Emerald City is University of Washington's NPR news station, KUOW FM 94.9, rising from a 7.9 to an 8.4, with a cumulative audience of 356,200. They have nearly a 3-point lead over their closest competitor, and that's iHeartRadio's classic hits station, 95.7 The Jets, KJEB. They slipped a little from 5.7 to 5.6 with a cumulative audience of 593,100. In third place, you have Bonneville Sports Station, 710 Seattle Sports, KIRO AM, which is also heard on KIRO FM HD2. They're up from 4.7 to 5.4 and a cumulative audience of 376,600. 710 Seattle Sports is, of course, the Mariners and Seahawks flagship station. So they come in a very strong third place. At number 4 is Hubbard Broadcasting's adult contemporary station, Warm 106.9 KRWM FM. Declining for a third straight month from 5.2 to 4.7 and a cumulative audience of 533,500. Making a run in the top 5 is Classic Radio's Classical King FM 98.1, which is up 1 full point from 3.5 to 4.5, taking the 5th spot. They have a cumulative audience of 213,500. Number 6 is Krista Ministries' contemporary Christian station, Spirit 105.3 KCMS, up from 4.2 to 4.4, with a cumulative audience of 243,800. And this will tie them for 6th place with iHeartRadio Classic Rock Station 102.5 KZOK, which took a big drop this month from 5.6 to 4.4, cumulative audience of 544,200. 8th place is Odyssey Active Rocker 99.9 The Rock KISW, down from 4.5 to 4.3, and a cumulative audience of 392,300. 9th place is Bonneville's news talk station KIRO-FM News Radio 97.3. They took a slight decline from 4.2 to 4.1 and a cumulative audience of 248,800. Now, this station also simulcasts Seattle Seahawks football, if I'm not mistaken. They are tied for 9th place with Odyssey's alternative rocker 107.7 The End, KNDD, up from 3.8 to 4.1 and a cumulative audience of 513,100. Next up is adult album alternative station KEXP 90.3, owned by the Friends of KEXP. They're down from 4.4 to 4.0 and a cumulative audience of 213,400. That's followed by Lotus Communications all news station Northwest News Radio, which is heard on KNWN AM 1000 in Seattle, as well as KNWN FM 97.7 in Oakville, Washington, and is also relayed on KPLZ's HD2 subchannel. They're up half a point from 3.3 to 3.8, cumulative audience of 236,800. That's followed by iHeartRadio's top 40 station Hits 106.1 KBKS, down from 3.5 to 3.4, cumulative audience of 460,900. Odyssey Country Station 100.7 The Wolf KKWF FM is down from 3.3 to 3.1, and they have a cumulative audience of 285,400. This ties them with Jazz and NPR News Station 88.5 KNKX, which is down from 3.6 to 3.1, cumulative audience of 232,800. And then you have a three-way tie with iHeartRadio's adult hit station 96.5 Jack FM KJAQ, Lotus Classic Country Station 101.5 Hank FM KPLZ, and Hubbard's Top 40 station Movin' 92.5 KQMV, all at a 3.0. Jack FM actually moved up from 2.6 to 3.0 with a cumulative audience of 528,800. Hank FM slipped slightly from 3.2 to 3.0 and a cumulative audience of 257,500. While Movin' 92.5 jumps up a little from 2.8 to 3.0, cumulative audience of 441,100. Below them is Hubbard's sister country station 98.9 The Bull KPNW FM, which is up from 2.0 to a 2.6, cumulative audience of 212,200. After that, it's Odyssey's classic hip-hop station Hot 103.7 KHTP, up from 2.1 to 2.2, cumulative audience of 362,400. Non-commercial dance music station C89.5 KHNC, or rather KNHC, owned by the Seattle Public Schools, is steady at 1.9. Cumulative audience of 154,100. Lotus Communications conservative talk station Talk Radio 570 KVI is down from 2.2 to 1.8 and a cumulative audience of 60,300. Odyssey's Hot AC Emma 94.1 KSWD is down from 2.1 to 1.7 with a cumulative audience of 288,800. Seattle's local K-Love station, 104.5 KLSW, is up from 1.1 to 1.4, and a cumulative audience of 124,400. They are tied with Bonneville conservative talker 770 KTTH, which is down from 1.6 to 1.4. Cumulative audience of 48,600. Next, the online stream of 100.7 The Wolf, which went up from 0.6 to 1.0 and a cumulative audience of 10,600. Then iHeartRadio sports station, Sports Radio 93.3 KJR FM, is down from 1.1 to 0.9 with a cumulative audience of 107,600. This would be the Seattle Kraken flagship station. Then the local Air 1 station, 88.1 KWAO, holds steady at a 0.4 and a cumulative audience of 52,300. Krista Ministries Praise 106.5 KWPZ is down from 0.4 to 0.3 with a cumulative audience of just 11,900. Not sure which part of the Seattle market this station serves. Tracy is in the house. Hello, Tracy. All right. iHeartRadio sports station, Sports Radio 950 KJR AM, holds steady at a 0.2 with a cumulative audience of 33,800. Then you've got Northwest Public Broadcasting, or NWPB 88.9 KSWS, which is an NPR news and talk station from Washington State University in Pullman. They're up from 0.1 to 0.2 in the Seattle market with a cumulative audience of 5,900. Krista Ministries religious talk station, KCIS 630, is registering once again at a 0.1 and a cumulative audience of 7,700. KCIS did not register in the June ratings, nor did the online stream of the Evergreen channel, which is light classical music heard on King FM HD2. They registered at a 0.1 after not registering in June. They have a cumulative audience of 4,100. Next up is Hubbard Oldies Station, AM 880 KIXI, holding steady at a 0.1. Cumulative audience of 17,500. Next is the alternative format, of Alt 96.5 HD2, heard on KJAQ's second digital subchannel. They're at a 0.1, cumulative audience of 15,000. Followed by the online stream of Jazz 24, heard on KNKX HD2, also at a 0.1, with a cumulative audience of 3,900. iHeartRadio Conservative Talker 1090 The Patriot, KPTR, is down from 0.2 to 0.1, with a cumulative audience of 13,400. And then you have the online stream of Emma 94.1, registering at a 0.1. And then Washington State University's classical station, NWPB Classical 90.9 KVTI, is holding steady at a 0.1. Cumulative audience of 15,100. Not registering is a pair of HD2 subchannels, including the Evergreen channel on KING-FM HD2, with a cumulative audience of 3,900. And Jazz 24, heard on KNKX HD2, with a cumulative audience of only 600. All right, we got one more market to look at, and that's the Miami-Fort Lauderdale radio market. And leading the charge here, and it's a tight race between three stations, The leader is Odyssey Adult Contemporary Station 1015 Light FM WLYF, which holds steady at a 6.6 for the third straight month. Cumulative audience of 764,500, which is the highest audience of any Miami radio station. And then there's a tie for second with a pair of stations owned by Cox Media Group. Starting off with its soft AC station, Easy 93.1 WFEZ, which is up from 6.0 to 6.5, and a cumulative audience of 684,800. They are tied with its sister adult R&B station, Hot 105 WHQT, which actually gave up the market lead in Miami, falling from 6.9 to 6.5, and a cumulative audience of 433,900. Why, thank you, Tracy. Like I said, I wouldn't have gotten to 100 subs if it weren't for all of you. Even though it did take me 5 years, I still got there. So I'm very, very happy about that. So both Easy 93.1 and Hot 105 are tied for second, in a rather spirited battle for the top spot in Miami, Fort Lauderdale. The area's highest rated Spanish station is Televisa Univision's Spanish Contemporary Amor 107.5 WAMR, which is down a little from 5.3 to 5.2, but still good enough to take fourth. They have a cumulative audience of 420,700. In fifth place is Odyssey Classic Hits Station 102.7 The Beach WMXJ, which is also down from 5.3 to 5.1. Cumulative audience of 548,100. And again, enough to crack to the top 5. At number 6 is iHeartMedia's bilingual AC, Magic 93.9 WMIA FM, which is up slightly from 4.9 to 5.0. Cumulative audience of 577,800. In 7th place is its sister classic rock station, Big 105.9 WBGG FM. They are actually up from 3.4 to 4.2. Sorry about that. And a cumulative audience of 457,400. They are tied for 7th place with Cox Media Group's Rhythmic Hot AC Hits 97.3 WFLC, which is also at 4.2, up from 4.0. They have a cumulative audience of 495,200. And by the way, Big 105.9 is the FM flagship of the Miami Dolphins. I wanted to get that in. So again, Big 105.9 and Hits 97.3 are actually tied for 7th place. Coming in at number 9, you have Spanish Broadcasting System's Zeta 92.3 WCMQ, which plays salsa and tropical music, or Spanish tropical music. They slipped a little from 4.2 to 4.0, but consistently hanging in that 4 share area. They have a cumulative audience of 361,700. Its sister Spanish tropical station, El Zol 106.7, which is heard in the Miami Fort Lauderdale area on WXDJ 106.7, and in the Florida Keys on 107.9 WMFM. They're up from 3.7 to 3.9 with a cumulative audience of 370,900, and that rounds out the top 10. Sorry. Just outside the top 10, you've got NPR news station WLRN 91.3, which is also heard in the Florida Keys on WKWM FM 91.5. These stations are owned by Miami-Dade County Public Schools. They're up from 3.4 to 3.6 and a cumulative audience of 202,000. Now, these are the NPR news stations for South Florida and the Florida Keys. Next is Tu 94.9, the Spanish contemporary format from iHeartRadio. That's WZTU-FM. They took a hit, dropping from 3.9 to 3.5, with a cumulative audience of 359,200. That's followed by Odyssey Country Station, Kiss Country 99.9 WKIS, which is up from 3.1 to 3.2. Cumulative audience of 317,900. Its sister classic hip-hop station, Power 96 WPOW, hanging around the 3 area. They're up from 2.8 to 3.0 with a cumulative audience of 463,100. And then there's a 3-way tie with Cox Media Group's hip-hop station, the legendary 99 Jams WEDR, iHeartRadio Top 40 station Y100 WHYI, and Spanish Broadcasting System's Spanish hip-hop station Ritmo 95.7 WRMA. Alright, 99 Jams is off just a little from 2.8 to 2.7 with a cumulative audience of 393,100. Y100 is holding steady at a 2.7 with a cumulative audience of 428,600, while Ritmo 95.7 is up a little from 2.6 to 2.7 and a cumulative audience of 333,900. Alright, the local K-Love station in Miami, 89.7 WMLV, is also up from 2.4 to 2.6. Cumulative audience of 208,700. Alright, iHeartRadio hip-hop station and competitor to 99 Jams, 103.5 The Beat WMIB-FM, is up from 2.1 to 2.4. Cumulative audience of 307,400. Alright, this is actually the last ratings for Odyssey alternative station 104.3 The Shark WSFS, which is holding steady at a 2.2 and a cumulative audience of 281,300. Now, a few weeks ago, Odyssey dropped the alternative format of The Shark and turned it into the FM Sports simulcast of 560 WQAM, which is the new home of the Miami Heat and the Miami Hurricanes. So now, 104.3 The Shark is officially FM 104.3 WQAM with a sports format. Next is Televisa Univision's Spanish Top 40 station, Mix 98.3 WRTO, holding steady at a 1.9 and a cumulative audience of 315,500. And then Latino Media Network's Spanish news and talk station, Radio Mambi 710 WAQI, is up again from 1.4 back to 1.6, cumulative audience of 70,600. Hubbard Broadcasting's Hot AC station, 97.9 WRMF out of West Palm Beach, actually took a slide here in the Miami-Fort Lauderdale market, falling from 1.6 to 1.5 with a cumulative audience of 172,800. And then taking an even bigger nosedive is iHeartRadio's News Talker, News Radio 610 WIOD, dropping from 2.3 all the way to 1.4 with a cumulative audience of 118,400. At Chuladad Media's Spanish news and talk rival at Chuladad 1040 WURN is down from 1.5 to 1.3 with a cumulative audience of 111,900. Next up, Anco Media's dance music station Revolution 93.5 WZFL FM also took a little bit of a slide from 1.1 to 1.0, cumulative audience of 151,000. And then that's followed by Hope Media's 88.1 Way FM, heard in Miami on WAYF, which is up from 0.5 to 0.6, cumulative audience of 58,500. They are tied with Odyssey Sports Station 560 Sports WQAM, which is also heard on 104.3 FM. The AM station is down from 0.9 to 0.6 with a cumulative audience of 73,800. And then the online stream of El Zol 106.7 is also at a 0.6, moving up from 0.3. And they have a cumulative audience of 37,300. Oh yeah, I track radio ratings from all over the country, primarily like the larger markets and everything. I like to know how every station in each market is doing. That's why I do this. Okay, next up is iHeartMedia Sports Station, Fox Sports 940 WINZ, way down here in the Miami market, up from 0.4 to 0.5 with a cumulative audience of 40,900. Fox Sports 940 is the Miami Dolphins co-flagship and the Miami Marlins flagship station as well. Next is Hope Media's Vida Unida 90.9 WLFE-FM, which plays Spanish Christian AC. They're down from 0.7 to 0.5, cumulative audience of 31,400. Okay, Spanish News and Talk Station WQBA 1140 from the Latino Media Network is down from 0.6 to 0.5 with a cumulative audience of 35,700. Then you have Jazz Station 88.9 WDNA, owned by Bascom Memorial Foundation. They're down from 0.4 to 0.3 with a cumulative audience of 57,500. At Trinidad Media's Spanish News and Talker La Poderosa 990 WMYM is up from 0.2 to 0.3 with a cumulative audience of 31,200. And then you have Odyssey's Spanish Conservative Talker Radio Libre 790 WAXY. They're up from 0.1 to 0.2, cumulative audience of 13,600. iHeartMedia's Pride Radio, which is heard on WBGGHD3, which is a top 40 dance and EDM station aimed at the LGBTQ community, registers at 0.2, cumulative audience of 26,900. That's followed by the online stream of Zeta 92.3 down to a 0.2 and a cumulative audience of 18,000. The next two stations are both from Hubbard Broadcasting and both broadcast from West Palm Beach. Classic Hits Station Sunny 107.9 WEAT-FM is down from 0.3 to 0.2, cumulative audience of 50,900. And its sports sister station Fox Sports 640 WMEN is up from 0.1 to 0.2. with a cumulative audience of 20,900. Spanish tropical station La Mezcla 94.9 from iHeartRadio, that's WZTUHD2. They're holding steady at a 0.2, cumulative audience of 12,800. Cox Media's Totally 80s channel on WFLCHD2 registers again at 0.1, cumulative audience of 6,900. Then you have Hubbard's News Talker 850 WFTL, another West Palm Beach station. They're holding steady at 0.1, cumulative audience of 14,000. No, No, Tracy, I don't have a radio station. I just enjoy listening to radio. Its sister adult R&B station, X102.3 WMBX, is also at a 0.1. Cumulative audience of 13,600. iHeartRadio's classic hip-hopper, Throwback 105.5, heard on WMIBHD3, holds steady at 0.1. Cumulative audience, 30,500. And then you have the competing top 40 dance and EDM station from Odyssey, Channel Q, heard on WPOWHD3. They stay at a 0.1 and a cumulative audience of 6,500. Not registering is Hubbard Country Station, New Country 103.1 WIRK, which is another West Palm Beach station. They have a cumulative audience in Miami of 11,100. Then there's the online stream of Kiss Country 99.9, which actually has a cumulative audience of 0 for some strange reason. Miami-Dade County Public Schools Classical Station, WLRN Classical, heard on WLRN HD2, did not register. They have a cumulative audience of 7,700. iHeart Country Station 104.7 The Bull, heard on WMIA HD3, and a Fort Lauderdale translator on 104.7 has a cumulative audience of 9,100, and they also didn't register. That's followed by the online stream of Power 96 with a cumulative audience of 1,600. And then Phoenix Broadcasting's AM 670 The Word, both the on-air station WWFE 670 AM and its online stream also didn't register in the Miami Fort Lauderdale market. The actual station has a cumulative audience of 8,000, while its online stream has 0. And that is a look at the Boston, Seattle, and Miami radio markets for July. Our next installment will look at Phoenix, my home market, as well as Detroit and Minneapolis, St. Paul. So make sure you join me for that. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell, get notified every time I go live. And once again, thanks for the 100 subs. I really appreciate all of you. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching and happy listening. Peace out.